Do you swear me, Your Honor? Yes, sir. It only made sense to me that I would be your next witness, and I've been very anxious to have this conversation with you today. Okay. So I ran to the courtroom.
You and Mr. Wade met in October 2019 at a conference?
That is correct. Okay. And I think in one of your motions you tried to implicate I slept with him at that conference, which I find to be extremely offensive.
Isn't it true that you met Mr. Wade October 2019 at a judge's conference?
We haven't gotten to the point where Ms. Willis should be treated hostile in this situation.
I think we have.
I very much want to be here, so I'm not a hostile witness. I very much want to be here.
Not so much that you're hostile, Ms. Willis, it'd be an adverse witness. Your interests are opposed to Ms. Merchant's.
Ms. Merchant's interests are contrary to democracy, Your Honor, not to mine. When you meet my father, he's going to tell you as a woman, you should always have, which I don't have, so let's don't tell him that. You should have at least 6 months in cash at your house at all times. Now, I don't know why this old black man feels like that, but he does. When we were growing up, my daddy had 3 safes in the house. So my father's bought me a lockbox, and I always keep cash in the house. Now, to you getting records, you've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
So, my
there's sort of 2 ticking time bombs for the district attorney. One of them is the possibility that the Court of Appeals will take the appeal and decide against her. That's one ticking time bomb. But the other is that Governor Kemp just on March 13th signed legislation activating a new state-level commission that has the power to investigate and remove her.
Isn't it true that you met Mr. Wade October 2019 at a judge's conference?
We haven't gotten to the point where Ms. Willis should be treated hostile in this situation.
I think we have.
I very much want to be here, so I'm not a hostile witness. I very much want to be here.
And so she could try to schedule the case as soon as possible, which could be as early as even April or May, particularly depending on how this appeal of the disqualification issue goes. So there are really sort of 2 scenarios here. One is that the issue of the disqualification could get resolved within a couple of weeks if the 2 layers of appellate courts say we're not going to hear it. On the other hand, if either the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court says we aren't going to permit the appeal, then the appeal itself is probably going to take several months.
Anything else you think we should clarify before we take a look at the questions? Do you have a copy for me?
Judge McAfee said in his order today he's going to keep moving forward on the case, whether or not the Court of Appeals decides to hear the appeal. So he probably will get the case ready to go to trial. But I think it's unlikely he would start a trial if the appeal is accepted and is going on.
Quote, at that condo, which these records don't prove that he laid his head anywhere. If you were to believe...
the primary season is basically over. So this would be an ideal time to do a trial. And if it was just Trump, jury selection would take a while. But then the case might not have to be that complicated. So I think if it started by April or May, there's a good chance that we would have a decision by the fall. And remember, the whole trial would be televised. So the entire country can sit in the jury box and hear the evidence, which is just the trial itself would be of great significance, I think. a significant portion of the American population apparently still believes the election was stolen, and they don't think he did anything wrong in contesting the election all the way up to and including what happened on January 6th. Well, minds could change if they hear the kind of evidence that goes to a jury. So the trial really could make a difference in the outcome of the election in November.